Hey Chief, how you doing? Good. You got your marks? You're good? Okay. Fantastic. So yeah, and you're good on our show. You know who's doing what? But Hayden, look at and yeah, absolutely. Right. We good? All right. Speak up, Chief. Yeah. Where am I speaking? You'll be speaking floating right after this.
So fill in the back. This stuff, please, sir. Dr. Icy, if you want to get down on this stuff as well, so you don't look as tall. Not for your tallness. Sounds good. All right, and I think we're good to go.
Whenever you're ready.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to share with you and the St. Louis community something that I shared with Mayor Jones and Dr. Isom most recently, and that is my intention to retire from the St. Louis Police Department in February of 2022, which will be my 35-year anniversary. Keep in mind that February is 5 months from now, so I still plan to serve faithfully until then, but I thought it was important to let the mayor and the director of public safety know of my intentions at this time so that they would have an opportunity to seek out a suitable successor. Both Mayor Jones and Dr. Isom have been very supportive of me these past few months, and I want them to know that I'm extremely appreciative of them allowing me to be a part of this administration. This decision was carefully and prayerfully considered by myself and my family, and we all believe that it is time for me to pass the proverbial baton. I want everyone to know that serving as the 35th Police Chief for the City of St. Louis has been an honor of a lifetime, and I certainly have proudly served our city in this capacity. I look forward to being able to spend much more time with my family, particularly with my grandson, who will join our family in early January. I believe that the St. Louis Police Department is the best police department in the world because it has always been blessed to have the most hardworking and dedicated employees assembled at any given time. I want to thank the St. Louis community for allowing me the opportunity to serve as police commissioner for the past 4 years. Again, it has been an honor of a lifetime to serve our city in this role. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is John Leggett, and I am the chaplain for the Ethical Society of Police and the director of community engagement. Chief Hayden's nearly 35 years of public service through the ranks of the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department is a source of inspiration for us all. So many of our members have been mentored by Chief Hayden, including myself, or otherwise influenced by him in a meaningful way. We wish Chief Hayden all the best in his retirement and his journey forward. When Chief Hayden was appointed, we issued our public support, yet stated that we would hold him accountable for our community and for our officers. We will do the same and hold true for the next chief of police, who undoubtedly has a complex job ahead of him or her. The next chief of the state's largest, of the second,
and across this region. They will guide officers to focus on violent crimes, partner with community members to ensure responsive community policing, and engage in efforts to remove policing issues better solved through behavioral health interventions and civilian interventions. Our process will be public. I repeat, our process will be public. So starting today, I'm encouraging every resident of our city to weigh in on a survey for our next police chief. It's located on the city's website. We'll have 2 listening sessions planned for October and a public town hall in the works. Building off the public's questions, we will create a questionnaire for top candidates and have them respond before the town hall. We're looking forward to hearing from the community about their vision for the next police chief. We're taking lessons learned from the previous search and applying them here. We want this to be as smooth a transition as possible while hiring the most qualified person for the job. St. Louisans deserve nothing less. Thank you.
All right, we'll open it up for questions.
How much weight are you guys going to give internal candidates compared to external?
Well, those methods are yet to be determined, but we know that we're going to make sure that we involve the community as much as possible in what they want to see in the next police chief.
What do you want to see in the next police chief? What are some of the qualifications or tendencies that?
Well, that person has to be a dedicated public servant, number one, but also dedicated to re-envisioning and reimagining public safety, to deploying the right professional to the right call, to making sure that we have a multitude of different professionals within our public safety department.
Are there any candidates that you have off at the top of your mind, Mayor Jones, that you would like to see step in?
No, I don't. I just we're going to do a nationwide search and locally as well, and hire the best qualified person for the job.
How important is diversity?
Diversity is extremely important. It's very important. So we'll be, again, looking for the most qualified person for the job, but also paying attention to diversity as well. We've never had a woman police chief. We've never had a woman of color or a black woman. So that's going to be important as well.
One of the things you talked about your tenure candidacy is about reorganizing the police department, reimagining, so to speak. Does it seem to move in that direction? Is that going to help, take it to where you ultimately need to go?
Well, the police chief has already been very supportive of the moves the changes that we've made so far by our changes with cops and clinicians and deploying the right professional to the right call, the changes to make sure that we have different professionals responding to different calls. So the police chief has been very supportive so far in our preventive measures.
Mayor, were you surprised with the decision by Chief Hayden?
A little bit. I didn't know he was reaching 35 years, but I was a little bit surprised, yes.
Dr. Grayson, do you have anything that you want to say?
If you have a question,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this individual would be reporting to you. Are you in line with what the mayor is saying in terms of what you will hope to see in a police chief?
Yeah, absolutely. I just really would like to say congratulations to my friend. We've known each other for a long time, going back to kindergarten and grade school. And he has served with integrity. As the mayor said, he has been a great partner in our effort to reimagine the police department. That process has already started, and bringing the right professional to the right call. And so, as the mayor said, we want someone who can continue that and who is a dedicated public servant, just like the chief has been so far.
Chief Hayden, can you talk about your decision on retiring at this time after 35 years? And you've been on a long time. Talk about how policing has changed in those years.
Oh my goodness, policing has changed in such a significant way. I think when I think about some of our younger years, in fact, I worked in this district, and for example, there weren't very many residents downtown, and so that's an example of how things changed in 30 years. And there were probably, we've been on phone calls with the mayor and myself and Dr. Isom, there were about 100 people on a phone call. So I mean, that's a drastic change. I think certainly it has become more important how we police as as policing itself. So I think there's certainly probably the biggest change is that people there's a high expectation of accountability, when as before people kind of took things for what law enforcement did as for granted, and but that has changed drastically in years to come. Integrity and accountability, and I think they deserve it.
Well, what do you expect from the new leader who will step into this role?
Oh, I certainly expect to kind of align with the mayor. Of course, the mayor and the director of public safety are going to pick the person, but again, I think that the person has to be a person of high integrity, a person that realizes that what you do, or rather how you do it, is just important as getting the job done. And so, a lot of accountability with respect to our interaction with the public.
Chief, what's one of your biggest...
Well, I got a grandson on the way, and so that's something that's very exciting for me. And just the opportunity. I've probably had a pager or a cell phone probably for well over 20 years at my side, and so not having to wake up in the middle of the night and deal with something I'll probably hear things and think that somebody's looking for me, and in fact it's just my dog barking or something. So.
Chief, talk about that issue about, last year was a bad year for the St. Louis Police Department. You lost a police officer. You had several officers shot. Talk about that going out now and as you reflect back.
So yeah, I would say that when it's certainly a competition in my heart with respect to both of those incidents. Certainly, we just celebrated or memorialized, commemorated Officer Tamaris Bohannon. This was his week that he passed away. Unfortunately, we've had an officer lose his bout with cancer this past week, and so that's why we're wearing the mourning band. But the officers that were shot that night, I mean, such a tragic thing. It's just the thing that I think I'll remember most about those incidents is the fact that everybody was just doing their job. You know, there was no, it was totally unprovoked actions against our officers. You know, they weren't in a confrontation with anybody. Just somebody. That was the worst that I had seen. Certainly, coming out of so I was promoted out of the protests of 2017, and I think that that was very important. Accountability. I certainly put the right people in the Force Investigative Unit. I know that police shootings will be of the utmost importance. I certainly put a person in the Internal Affairs Division that I had a lot of confidence in. I certainly made a promotion in the person that's over our CDT team. And so I think that coming out of the protest, what we learned from that is that folk really expect high level of accountability for officers. I think I've accomplished that. Biggest challenges I think might arguably be going on right now. I mean, when we're competing for the best officers in the region, and they can go other places for and make more money with less demands, I think that's very challenging.
I know you had one of your big programs was the rectangle and the triangle and Dutchtown and those things. Talk about the success of those, and are those going to be around even after you close the books on your career?
Well, certainly we've kind of evolved out of that. I think what we're doing now with mission zones, it's kind of it's the rectangle with a closer lens. But hey, I think some of the neighborhoods that get a lot of violent crime are well known to the community, and so naturally we're in those spots. But I would suspect that they will continue with mission zones and really try to focus as close as they can on crime movement as it occurs.
Chief, 4 years ago, when you were going through the selection process, it was in the context of, as you said, the protests, people wanted something different, and through your term here, you've had trials over officers who were beaten during those protests, who were prosecuted. In some ways, some of those things have not changed. What is the next chief who's going to be coming in? What work is still left to do in the sense of the challenges that were facing you when you entered the department?
Right. So I would say that when it comes to integrity and accountability, I think so. So the beatings happened before I became chief, and so what I've done is try to ensure that the officer accountability was to the level that we don't have incidents whereby the public is outraged and that we get a lot of protests. And if you think about it, based on naturally the George Floyd incident affected the nation, but based on behavior of our officers, I don't think that we've had that I can recall some major protests or some major outrage about officers in my tenure. The protests from 2017 had dozens of civil actions, lawsuits. We went to 130 protests last year. We don't have any lawsuits. And so I think we've learned, and I think that during my administration, that was very important to me, and I think it shows.
What the lessons from the Luther Hall trial specifically? There are still protesters from that incident who have lawsuits. There's a lot of questions left over the officers' behavior in those protests before you were chief, of course. What of those aspects are still left, and what did you take from that trial and from that information coming out of how your officers there did behave in that incident?
Sure. So I think the first thing you do is that you let people know that is unacceptable, and I think that, like I said, we've done that in many ways by any time that there's a similar situation and serious happens, that serious consequences occur, and I think that we've done that, and so I think that that's the lessons that we've learned. But more importantly, I think officers have not found themselves in predicaments like that because they know the serious consequences.
Got one more?
We haven't spoken with the county about their search. They have a different sort of process when it comes to how their policing department is structured. So we haven't spoken with the county about their search.
Do you hope that it would be someone who would be interested in additional cooperation, any kind of, through
Yeah, absolutely. We are speaking with the county and making sure that we are being more collaborative in that sense. So we would hope that whoever is hired in the city and the county also is open to being more collaborative and working together a lot more.
Mayor Jones, one more if you don't mind. A lot of the decision process that you guys go through, you really involve the community in that. And not to say that it is a strategy, but is that part of your overall strategy to regain that trust between our police department, the community, and also the government officials we have?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I've always held the belief that that we work for the people, not the other way around.
All right, thank you all very much.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, crime is down 25%, right? But there are concerns about the downtown area. In your last months on the department, what's the plan to, like Washington Avenue? What's the plan?
Certainly, in our last months, and as particularly as weather gets colder, that's when a lot of that dissipates. But we will definitely have a much stronger physical police presence as well as a traffic patrol plan. So all of that, what you've seen, naturally we've done a lot of things to address some of the downtown issues, but we'll do even more in coming weeks.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you for dealing with the wind. It's better to deal with wind than getting COVID.